Hi, I'm Donald McIntyre, founder of Etherplan. This is the Ethereum Classic podcast, and I'm going to talk about the Ethereum Classic history and latest recovery. Here in this slide, you can see I put here the first part of the history of Ethereum Classic is what I call the founding period, which is when Igor Artamonov, Elaine O, Cody Burns, Charles Hoskinson, R. Vico, Barry Silbert, and other founders saved the mainnet of Ethereum because the Ethereum community decided to fork to save the DAO for the DAO investors, and Ethereum Classic remained as the mainnet and the original chain. The second period for me is the high prices of the 2017 bubble, which was followed by the third period, which is this general bear market in the crypto industry, where Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all crypto in general went down in price, and there was a generalized bear market. By the end of I started to work in Ethereum Classic as the business developer and marketing manager of ETC Dev in July of 2018, more or less in this period. But by the end of 2018, in November, December, ETC Labs took over ETC Dev, so the developers weren't to work there, and a few members of the original team of ETC Dev, like Igor Artamonov, me, and others, were left out. In this same period, someone that worked for the general group that is part of ETC Labs took over the Ethereum Classic GitHub, and that was a crisis during that period in the community. So it's an important point in the history of the community. In January of 2019, unrelated, there was a 51% attack on Ethereum Classic, but it didn't create much crisis, nor did it change much the reputation of Ethereum Classic. As you can see here, Ethereum Classic was floating in price more or less correlated to the general crypto market. It didn't suffer much at the time. It would suffer later, and I'm going to explain when. In October 2019, here in this period, the Ethereum, the ETC Cooperative organized the annual summit, the ETC Summit of 2019, where we talked about the principles, vision, and opportunities for Ethereum Classic. Alex Sankov, who had introduced SHA-3 in January due to the 51% attack, gave a full presentation about the technology and how to roll it out and do the upgrade. As Zach Mitten presented Fly Client, which is an interesting technology to have interoperability between Ethereum Classic and other blockchains. And Charles Hoskinson gave the keynote speech at the time. After the summit, we continued working as usual. And in January of 2017, I put here number 6 in the history of Ethereum Classic. There was a very strong rally in Ethereum Classic, where the coin went up in price, and while the market was essentially flat or normal, but ETC went up a lot, and it was one of the top 10 blockchains in the whole industry. So it was very rewarding for the whole community to see this rally at the time in January 2020, because it was in a way an indication of recognition of the blockchain and its values of Code's law and immutability, and the advances in the technology upgrades. We did many upgrades since 2018, 4 upgrades that brought parity between Ethereum and ETC in terms of all the technologies in the EVM, opcodes, and everything was on par with Ethereum. After that, the number 7 here in the history of ETC, what I put here is the COVID-19 crash, which was a general crash for the whole world in general, and also the crypto industry. So ETC just went down with the rest of the market, and then there was a normal recovery the rest of the year, from February more or less to July, August. But something happened in Ethereum Classic, which is point number 8 in its history, which is that in August of 2020 there were 451% attacks, new attacks, and those were very prolonged, and they stole a lot of money from a few exchanges. So that was really devastating for the community and for Ethereum Classic and its reputation, because not only was it attacked in 2019, but now it was being attacked again in 2020. The general crypto market in this period continued to go up. Federal Reserve and the European Central Bank were printing money. Everybody in the world was printing fiat money. So Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the whole crypto industry was rallying very strongly. But as you can see here, in this period, ETC remained essentially flat. We think that this happened because of the reputation that it gained of not being very stable due to the attacks. But here I put in number 9, a very, very important point in the history of Ethereum Classic is that the core Geth team implemented emergency upgrades to mitigate 51% attacks. One of those upgrades was MES, and the other one was ETC hash. Both combined really mitigated 51% attacks, because there hasn't been any more attacks. It's very likely that there will not be any more attacks on ETC. But those two upgrades are seen as temporary, because once ETC gains value and increases in hash rate, like I'm going to explain later, then it's going to become secure internally, and it's not going to need any specific technologies as training wheels to keep it stable. In this period also, it was very important, Charles Hoskinson and IOHK announced that they were re-entering into the community, and they launched the Mantis client and wallet. IOHK, for reference, is the leading technology company that created and maintains Cardano. Finally, point number 10 is the recent period, the last since January, I would say, Ethereum Classic finally started to be recognized by the market as a stable chain, that it didn't have more 51% attacks, and the price started to go up. But in the last week or 2 weeks, I would say in the last few days or last week, it really popped to aggressively catch up to the rest of the market, especially against Ethereum. And I'm going to talk this in the next slide. Here you can see this is the story of the market cap of Ethereum relative to the market cap of ETC. So that's a ratio. For example, if the market cap were 10 and ETC were 1, that would be 10 to 1. The history of Ethereum Classic, since I started to work there, I started to track here the relative value between Ethereum and ETC. This period, as you can see, was very stable, and the average ratio between Ethereum and ETC market caps was 29 times. This is the average between. Sometimes it was 10, sometimes it was 40, but the average was 29. And I consider this period the stable period in terms of relative value between the two chains. This is between July 2018 and July 2020. The whole period between July 2018 and today, because it includes this period that I'm going to explain now, the average in the whole term, the whole period, is 48 times. The peak is 206 times, and now it's 55 times. This is due to the recent recovery in price of ETC. The market cap is up significantly in the last week, and this made it the ratio to go down to 55. I think it's going back to 29. The reason for this is that this coincides with point number 8, which is the August of 2020 51% attacks. So this is, you can see here clearly the effect. Ethereum continued to rally with the general market. Bitcoin started to do past 20,000 and went to 40,000, 60,000. Ethereum went to 1,000, 2,000, then 2,500, and so because ETC lagged in this period, the ratio between Ethereum and ETC was 206 times. But the peak was 206 times, more or less by the end of December, beginning of January of 2021. The thing is that since January, I think because of Lindy effect, because of the reputation of ETC, because the whole community has been working thoroughly and diligently in the network. Core Geth did the implementations, Mantis. IRHK launched Mantis in this period. And great work also by the ETC cooperative and Alex Sankov in promoting and implementing SHA-3 as the next mining algo for ETC, which would make it much more stable and much more efficient. I think that in January, due to all of these things and information, the anti-fragility, ETC is showing anti-fragility and Lindy effect, because despite all the attacks and despite all the problems that it had in its history, it's showing a lot of resilience, and this is evidently convincing the market that it has a lot of value. So since January started to recover from $4, it went to 8, and it finally broke out of that range that it had been there for 10 months, and it went to 12, and then 15, 18, 20, then it corrected, and then from 22 more or less it rallied all the way to 49 the day before yesterday, I think, and now it's trading around 38. So the ratio between Ethereum and ETC is 55 now, and I think that is going to go very rapidly in the next few days or weeks to 29, which is this historical ratio that I tracked. After that, I'm sure it's going to continue rallying together with Ethereum, or even more, because ETC, its proof of work has a fixed monetary policy, and that has many advantages for the blockchain industry in general. This is how I calculate the price target using the ratio between Ethereum and ETC. What I do is I take the Ethereum market cap, I divide it by the ratio, the historical ratio, which is 29. So I divide it by the target ratio that I think Ethereum and ETC are going to have in terms of market caps, relative market caps, and then I divide that number by the ETC supply. That will give me a price target, or a price per ETC, when it reaches this new level, which is the historic ratio between Ethereum and ETC. So at the current price, when I did this video, the Ethereum price was 2,257. That is a market cap of 259 billion, divided by the ratio that it's going to achieve very soon, which is 29 times. That divided by the current supply of ETC gives me a price of 71. This is why on social media and Twitter and Discord and Telegram I've been talking about 60, 61, 71, 91, etc., because it's this calculation that I'm doing that changes every day as the prices change, and also as the supply of ETC grows and the supply of Ethereum grows, but they grow at different rates. So I have to update this all the time. But in general, it's more or less, it's going to be, if Ethereum were to stay at this price, then ETC is going to catch up to 29 times relative to ETC, to ETH, and that means a price of 71. Because I think that Ethereum is going to continue to rally and is going to go to, in the near future, to 3,000, or at least this year is going to trade at 3,000. Then when I do Ethereum's market cap at 3,000, that is 344 billion. And if I use the historical ratio that I think that ETC is going to achieve, divided by the ETC supply, that gives me a price of 94. So the real price that I think that ETC is going to reach in the short term is 94. And this is only to catch up with Ethereum and its rally of the last 12 months. I think that when it reaches that parity of 29 times, I think that it's very likely that Ethereum is going to either continue to rally with Ethereum and crypto in general, or it's going to rally even faster than the general market, because I think that as today ETC is the ETC's ranking is 35 on CoinGecko and I think 36 on CoinMarketCap, and I think that ETC is going to go back to the number 10 position. It's very likely that ETC is actually going to rally faster than Ethereum when it reaches this ratio of 29. So that is going to reduce the ratio between the two chains even further. In the longer term, which is another video that I created, I recommend you go on and watch it. I think that ETC is going to reach 7,000. That is my prediction for 10 years. But that is another topic. Why do I think that price is important? Now, some people ask me about that. Price is important because of this. Ethereum Classic here, you can see now the hash rate of the network is 12.88 terahashes per second. This is on the website of Two Miners, which I think is one of the best mining pools out there and very professional. You can see here in the last year, the history that I just told about ETC is also seen here in the hash rate. When ETC was attacked is when it reached this low of 1.5, which is extremely low, and the emergency measures had to be taken, like MES and ETC hash in this period. And so everything was normal, more or less here. Ethereum always was between 8 and 12, I would say, historically, or 8 and 10. Then it crashed to very low levels of hash rate. That reduces the security of the network and reduces the stability of the network. So exchanges have to use more confirmations, and it makes the life of users worse because they cannot withdraw easily and deposit easily between exchanges, or when they want to pay things, or when they want to use dApps. Smart contracts become very cumbersome to use, or they can be reorganized, and that disrupts the functionality of decentralized applications and smart contracts, and also, of course, regular transfers. But with the changes, with IOHK creating Mantis and relaunching Mantis and its participation, ETC Cooperative pushing SHA-3, implementing SHA-3 in the Besu client, and putting it on a testnet to show its security and efficiency, and also the core Get team with its emergency implementations and how they brought stability to the network. We see that with a recent price rally, ETC is practically at or above the previous levels of hash rate. So the price is important because there's demand for the coin goes up in price. When the coin goes up in price, then miners want to come, and you can see this here. want to come to mine on Ethereum Classic, and when miners want to mine on Ethereum Classic, it increases the hash rate, and when the hash rate increases, the stability and the security of the network increases. And when that happens, then people can use Ethereum Classic for more transfers and more decentralized applications and more smart contracts. So that creates more demand. So it's a virtuous circle, because more demand makes the coin go up further, and that makes hash rate go up further because miners want to mine Ethereum Classic. So it's a virtuous circle, and I think that to follow and to make sure that we communicate to the market the advances of Ethereum Classic and its resilience and its model of being highly secure, proof of work, fully replicated around the globe, etc., and a fixed monetary policy is extremely important. And this, of course, helps the market understand the value of Ethereum Classic, and that value is translated in price and hash rate, security, and everything goes forward from there. Thank you very much.